Yup, gonna buy it. If I were a rich woman, I would have already bought 6 of them. Brianna, her mind. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. That was super sweet of you. Okay, so today I'm giving you a neon inspired eye look. I'm wearing a ton of blush. I got a butterfly necklace on. I got butterfly clips on. I got strawberry earrings. It's a very all over the place look we're having today, but that's not what this video is about. You clicked on this video probably because you, like me, have an interest in anti-hauls and maybe are a little bit anti-consumerist, maybe are a little bit anti-capitalist, maybe you don't like beauty brands shoving new releases in your face every 2 seconds. Hi, hello, I am you, I am with you, I am here to tell you that you don't need to buy everything that is advertised to you. And the beauty brands are really back at it again with these rapid releases. I felt like they gave us a little bit of a break over the summer. I don't think it was on purpose. I personally have a feeling that a lot of launches had to be scrapped because they were very like festival related. I feel like every year we get a lot of like Coachella releases and a lot of music festival releases where clearly nobody's going to festivals this summer, so I have a feeling that's why we got a little bit of a break. But it's nearly back to school and Sephora is back at it again. They're having a welcome back sale, which like, what? Welcome back to whom? Welcome back to what? What are we welcoming back to? The pandemic is not over, but anywho, I thought it would be as good a time as ever to do an anti-haul because there is so much that I do not want to buy. This is not my first anti-haul, this is my second. So basically, I'm an old pro now, but if you want to watch my first one, I will link it on screen and down below for you. And just a little disclaimer for you, if I talk about something that I am anti-hauling that you have already purchased or that you plan on purchasing, that's all fine and good because guess what? Makeup is totally subjective and works differently for everybody. We all have different preferences based on our personalities, and that's what makes this world so great. And so again, if I talk about something that you like, please try to not take it personally. I know if you're a Pisces, it'll be difficult, but I promise it'll be okay. So if anti-hauls are something that is interesting to you, then I encourage you to please subscribe and keep on watching. It's coming at you right now. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to talk to you about, I'm sure I'm gonna use it on the thumbnail and I feel like it's probably why you clicked on this video. So elephant in the room, let's talk about the Jeffree Star palette. I feel like I've talked about before how Jeffree Star Cosmetics is not a brand that I support and I've actually never purchased anything from him, but I just try not to even talk about him on my channel if I can help it because I don't want to give him any more attention, and I realize I'm giving into it right now by talking about this new palette. But I'm going to try to examine this palette from a completely objective perspective. It is called the palette. I don't know if I can say that on here. I was watching Smokey Glow earlier and she like wouldn't say the word because she didn't want to get demonetized. I'm not monetized yet, but in the future I would love to not get demonetized for saying so. You get it. This palette, cringy marketing aside, I just don't think looks good. A big issue I have with it is that I like the idea that it appears to be all mattes, which I think is kind of fun. You know, it could be nice to have a palette full of mattes. Some people never use shimmers. I am not one of those people. I can't go a day without shimmer, but some people really just like love an all matte look, and I love that look too. However, I think there's just far too many repeat shades in this palette. A really good tip that I learned from watching Samantha Ravindal here on YouTube, sometimes you're looking at a palette and you can see that there's like 3 shades of brown that are all like slightly different depths. Like one's a bit of a deeper brown, one's slightly lighter, and one's slightly lighter than the lighter one. And she talked about how you don't always feel like you need to buy a palette with all of those options because you can change a color based on your application. So if you want the full depth of that deep brown color, then you can really pack on that color and not blend it out that much. Or if you want a lighter brown color, you can just go in with a lighter hand and that will give you a lighter brown. So when I see palettes like this Jeffree Star one that have 5 shades that all look just a little different from each other, I think of what Samantha Ravindal said and I'm like, you know what, I just don't find that to be necessary. I also think that if this is an appealing color story to you, I would recommend checking out the Colourpop Bare Necessities palette. I have not tried that one, but just looking at the color stories alone, they're incredibly similar and that one's also a mega palette. That one does have some shimmers in it, so if you're somebody that likes shimmers, then that could, you know, be a great option too. There's so many nude palettes out here, you know? I think it's his first nude palette, but there is no lack of nude palettes out there. My current favorite nude palette is from Mented Cosmetics, which is a Black-owned brand. We love Mented Cosmetics. In this house, it looks like this. It only has 9 pans, but the color selection is fantastic. No creams in sight. We don't want any creams in our nude palettes. At least I don't. So I really like this palette from Mented. The colors blend incredibly well. They're so soft. The shimmers are the creamiest shimmers I've ever used, hands down. I would love for Mented to come out with more eyeshadow. This is their only palette I believe they have right now, but I think their shimmer formula is unmatched. I have never used a shimmer this creamy before. It's truly unbelievable, and it has a really big pan size, which is cool because you can also use them on the face if you like. I have used this as blush before. I know you're like, really? Use that as blush? But trust me, it's a beautiful blush. It's just a really great nude palette, and it's made by a company that is wonderful and that I support. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you about all the nude palettes in the world because you have Google and you can do that yourself. But I certainly will not be purchasing the Jeffree Star palette, and even if it didn't have his name on it, I definitely wouldn't buy this palette because I don't think it looks good. Okay, so now I want to talk about some new releases from Fenty. Fenty has released quite a few new products over the last couple weeks. They came out with 2 colorful mascaras. So one is kind of like a maroon, a burgundy. What's the difference between burgundy and maroon? I googled it last week and I could not find a consistent answer. Let me know in the comments down below. She came out with a burgundy and a deep green. What did she call the deep green? Oh, she called it a forest green. I love those names. My only skepticalness, if that's a word, about these mascaras is that I have tried colorful mascaras in the past. L'Oreal makes a maroon mascara that I bought and was really excited about because it was in the voluminous formula, which I love the L'Oreal voluminous mascara. But my issue was that because I already have basically black lashes, it really did not show up at all. I mean, it definitely didn't pick up on camera when taking pictures, which is something that I consider when I buy a makeup product. Again, that was the L'Oreal voluminous formula though, so Fenty's could be different. I've seen a couple pictures of people wearing them, and I feel like under studio lights you can kind of see the color, but it's just not really a risk that I'm willing to take because they are expensive. So they're $14 each, which is not so bad. They are minis. Personally, I find that minis tend to last me the same amount of time as full-size mascaras because you're only supposed to use mascaras for a couple months anyways, so the sizing I think is fine. But I don't think I'm gonna risk it just because I have a feeling it's not gonna show up on my lashes and I would feel bad if I wasted my money. But the other thing that they released are 2 new Snap Shadows palettes, which are in corresponding colors. That I really like. I really like what they're doing right now where they come out with products that complement each other at the same time. Like coming out with the forest green mascara and the burgundy mascara and then coming out with the money palette and the wine palette, like brilliant. So I'm not gonna buy these, but not because I think there's anything wrong with them. They look really beautiful and I know that people do like the Snap Shadow formula. However, I just don't need these colors in my collection, and they are $25 and you only get 6 shadows, which is very pricey. I even feel like comparatively to other products that Fenty sells, the Snap Shadows feel very expensive for me for what you're getting. I don't know, I feel like if they can knock it down to like $18, I would be more apt to buy one of them. But $25 for 6 eyeshadows. I paid $25 for my by Melolops Radioactive palette, and that has 12 shades in it. I'm willing to spend $25 on eyeshadows, but you gotta give me a little more than 6, Rihanna. 6 is not enough for $25. So I'm gonna be passing on those 2 launches. The one thing I will say, I am very interested in trying, and I still probably won't because I'm very cheap, but she came out with a brow wax pen that has wax on one side and then a silicone brush on the other side. If you missed my Glossier dupes video, go watch that because I worked really hard on it, but I talked about how I like to put hair wax in my eyebrows to give them a nice waxy, Glossier, feathery look without buying boy brow, and I feel like this product is kind of a cleaner version of what I already do. So I just take my finger and I slap the wax on, and then I go in with my own spoolie and I brush it up, and Rihanna basically created that in a less messy form, which I think is brilliant. It's $20, which for me, a non-rich woman, it's very expensive. So I am likely not going to buy it, but I do need to give huge kudos to the concept. Like, if I were a rich woman, I would have already bought 6 of them, because this is a product that I know that I would love. And if I somehow come into a Sephora gift card in the next month, because my birthday is September 12th, Virgo season is upon us, then maybe I would consider buying it, because it does look really great. But as I said, as a non-rich woman, $20 for a brow product, forget about it. All right, let's move on to our friends over at Colourpop. Yes, Colourpop is at it again with the rapid releases. I was so disappointed. They seem to be doing such a good job at not releasing things rapid fire, because I felt like they finally heard the voice of their consumers saying, please, Colourpop, we love you, but we're overwhelmed. Stop releasing things every week. And there was like a solid month where they didn't like release anything, to my knowledge. I could be remembering wrong, but it really felt like they weren't releasing stuff as rapid fire anymore. And now I feel like they're picking up again, and I'm mad about it. So the Colourpop Candyland collection. When I saw the Candyland collection came out, one, I thought it looked really cute, but I was also mad because Colourpop collabs with big corporations so often that it's just infuriating to me. Every time they do a Disney collaboration, that's putting more money into Disney's pockets. Disney owns so much intellectual property. I just get frustrated when businesses that already are billion-dollar businesses just start hopping into the beauty industry as like clearly a cash grab, and that's what it feels like to me whenever they do collaborations with Disney. And that's kind of how I feel with the Candyland collection too. But even if the whole fact that it's a Candyland collab doesn't bother you, I just don't think the product looks good. I watched Smoky Glow use this palette in her Tutorial Tuesdays. You should watch those, they're really fun. But even just watching her use it live, all of the colors look so similar. All of the pastel colors look really cute in the pan, but when she put them on the eyes, they were just too subtle. They all looked white on the eyes. It just looked like she was adding a white shadow. You couldn't tell the difference between a pastel yellow and a pastel mint color. So I just felt like they were all too similar. Also, the formula of every single color in that palette was like a matte with glitter in it, which is a formula that Colourpop uses a lot. I don't mind that formula, but I definitely wouldn't want a palette with only that formula. Like she said, there were no mattes in the palette. The colors just didn't appear to work very well. I just was not very impressed watching Smoky Glow use it. She said that if you wanted like a similar vibe to that palette, that the Wild Nothing palette was a better formula and better color story. So I would agree with Smoky Glow on that. I think that sounds correct. And then let's talk about the Sunflower collection they're coming out with. So I want to give credit where credit is due and say that I love that this palette is all mattes. I think that's fantastic because they've been really going on with these monochromatic palettes for a while that I'm like, what are they gonna come out with next? Like, they've done all the colors. There's no colors left for them to do. But, you know, they made it different by coming out with an all mattes palette, which I think is great because they do have the Honey, is that what it's called? The other monochromatic yellow palette, and that one has a pressed glitter in it as well as a bunch of shimmers. A lot of people have problems with their pressed glitter formula because it's not good for the environment and it's not technically eye safe. So I think it was really cool that they came out with this all matte formula. Do I need it? No, absolutely not. If you have one shade of mustard yellow, then you don't need this palette. I just feel like it's varying shades of mustard, which is pretty, but I already have that. I have my little Huda Beauty Coral Obsessions palette, which has a mustard in it, and it also has some nice warm browns in it, and I feel like that's the whole vibe of this Colourpop palette, and I just don't need it. Just because something has beautiful little sunflowers on it does not mean you need to buy it. I know it's hard. I know I'm a sunflower bee too, but I'm gonna really refrain from buying this just because it has sunflowers on it. I'll probably just draw some little graphic liner sunflowers on my eyes and that will fill the void. So I'm gonna be skipping both new releases from Colourpop. Please slow down, Colourpop. It's too much. We're overwhelmed. Okay, so let's move on to KKW Beauty. I don't know anything from Kim Kardashian West's beauty brand. I have been tempted before. The only palette I was really tempted by was the one she did with her makeup artist Mario that had that beautiful blue in it, but I had to refrain. I said, you know what, I could buy a blue eyeshadow separately. I don't need this palette. And that's how I feel with most of her palettes. I feel like most of her palettes have like one pop of color that I'm interested in, and the rest is just like the same neutral shuffled over and over again. And this new collection she came out with is no exception. Apparently it's a collaboration with her best friend. Cute idea. The collection is boring. boring. However, if it's truly just an ode to like her best friend and this is stuff that her best friend likes, like more power to her. But it is, however, a very boring collection that looks like stuff she's already come out with. I mean, the palette is cool toned neutrals and it's only 6 colors for $30, which is more than the Snap Shadows. So how can I sit here and say I wouldn't even spend the money on Snap Shadows for $25? Kim Kardashian's over here doing 6 colors for $30. It's ridiculous. You don't need it. You want a cool toned eyeshadow palette? Get one from Colourpop for $12. At least you get more colors in it. I just think this is ridiculous. She has a couple of blush palettes coming out too, which, like, not gonna lie, some of those colors look pretty, but at the same time, like, $38. Everything looks very boring and very neutral. I could definitely see other celebrities maybe wearing this, or people who don't wear a lot of makeup. But even if you're someone who doesn't wear a lot of makeup and you normally stick to neutrals, you don't need to spend this much money just because it's Kim Kardashian. It just all feels like everything that comes out from KKW just feels like a repeat of the last thing they put out with a slightly different variation, and I don't like that, and I'm definitely not going to be buying this collection and probably not buying anything from KKW Beauty. Alright, so now I want to talk about Anastasia Beverly Hills' newest release, and I will say this was their first release in kind of a while. They definitely took a break, I feel like, after they got a lot of backlash on social media. If you're not familiar, back at the beginning of June, when all of these brands were putting out their Black Lives Matter statements, their Blackout Tuesday post where they shared their little black square that did literally nothing, but they shared their black square, people started to call out brands a little more. Anastasia Beverly Hills was one of the brands that was called out the most because a lot of former employees who had worked there, a lot of black former employees who had worked there, said that they had terrible experiences working there and that it was an incredibly sexist workplace. They said that they felt like women were not treated as well working there. People were pulling up these Glassdoor reviews where they said, like, if you want to work at Anastasia Beverly Hills, start looking for another job immediately when you get hired because you will not want to stay here. They'll expect you to work weekends. They'll expect you to work outside of your regular hours. It just seems like a really toxic workplace environment. Oh, bless you. There's cute little sneeze. Oh, look at him. Oh, that's a good shake. Hi. Oh my goodness. Okay, we gotta get back to work, but wow. What was I even saying? I don't even remember. Anastasia who? But yeah, so people were just bringing up all these old Glassdoor reviews, former employees saying they had a terrible time working there. They were quite under fire. They also never pulled up. I know I've mentioned before on my channel, Sharon Shooter, CEO of Uma Beauty, started the Pull Up or Shut Up movement, and it basically encouraged people to call out companies to release the number of black employees they have in executive and leadership roles, and Anastasia Beverly Hills was one that never pulled up. They pulled up by saying that they would do better in the future, but they never released their numbers, which tells us that those numbers were probably very bad. So they haven't released anything in a while, but now they're coming out with lip stains. And all of that other stuff I talked about aside, if I'm looking objectively at these lip stains, I don't get it. What made you want to go with lip stains? I'm confused. I used to use lip stains a lot when I was in like middle school and like just starting to get into makeup. I don't know why. I felt like that was a very popular thing. Did you ever use those like marker looking lip stains? I think they were from CoverGirl. I used to love those. They used to dry the heck out of my lips, but I used to love wearing those, and that was the first thing I thought of when I saw they were coming out with lip stains. And I've watched quite a few lip swatch videos of this, and I have to say, even in the sponsored posts, I don't think they look good. They're like kind of sheer, but they look kind of patchy. You know what they remind me of? They remind me of the Colourpop Ultra Blotted Lips, which I don't like. I decluttered my Colourpop Ultra Blotted Lip because it goes on sheer, but kind of patchy, and then is incredibly drying, all three things which I do not want in a lip product, and I feel like these Anastasia lip stains look very similar to those, at least from watching lip swatches. Again, I haven't tried them, so I don't know for sure. They're too expensive for me to take a risk on them. I still am not thrilled with ABH as a brand. They've just done so many shady things. I'm not going to talk about them, but you can Google Anastasia Beverly Hills Smoky Glow. She has a ton of videos. You can watch Smoky Glow. I'm always promoting Smoky Glow in my videos. She's so great. I'm not thrilled with them as a brand, and I'm definitely not thrilled with this release, and I'm definitely not going to be buying it. Alright, I feel like this video is going to be so long, so this will be the last product I talk about today. Let's talk about the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. First of all, I saw this palette and I immediately immediately got deja vu. I was like, didn't they release this before? Apparently they haven't. I think I was thinking of their gingerbread palette, which just like looked very similar to me. Here's the deal. All of those Too Faced palettes that come in like the chocolate bar style packaging, the long packaging, just look very similar to me, and I'm just not impressed. I also felt like if you were gonna name a palette the pumpkin spice palette, go all out. Like, make it all oranges. You could do so much with a pumpkin style, you know, color story that I was just very confused as to why there was only a couple of oranges in it. Is that even a true orange? You tell me from what you think of this picture that I found on Trend Mood. You can see they're in like different lightings, and in the one on the bottom it looks like that top shade is an orange, but in the picture on the top it doesn't look like there's any orange. Maybe a peach. I feel like a lot of times with brands they might just have like leftover components that they're trying to get rid of, and that's why they throw so many shades into it. Because I felt the same way with the Jeffree Star palette. I'm like, why'd you make it so big? You could have made the palette smaller, and I know he came out with a smaller one too, but I never understand why brands put so many shades that we don't need into palettes. Well, I do understand it's to make more money, it's to get you to spend more money so they can charge more for the palette. I get it, but I don't like it, and I just feel like this palette did exactly that. Doesn't make sense for pumpkin spice. There's not enough pumpkin spice in here. The colors don't make sense for you calling it pumpkin spice. I feel like they picked the name pumpkin spice because they know fall is coming and that all the basic bees might buy it because it has the word pumpkin spice in it, and like I definitely was intrigued. This is the most intrigued I've been in a Too Faced palette in forever, and it's definitely only because they called it pumpkin spice, and I do love pumpkin spice, but I don't love the color story of this palette, so I'm definitely not gonna buy it. And that's something I encourage you to do more often in your consuming life. If you see something and it has beautiful packaging and it's something that speaks to you, like this Too Faced pumpkin spice palette or like this Colourpop sunflower palette, and you really like the packaging and it makes you feel like happy little feels, try to cover up the packaging and just look at the colors. Do you still get those same happy feels? If you don't, you probably don't need to buy it. I know that's something people were saying a lot when the Colourpop Sailor Moon palette came out, because that one like sold out immediately because people just saw Sailor Moon and they were like, yup, gonna buy it. And some people really liked the color story, but other people didn't really like the color story and they just bought it because of the packaging. Please don't ever buy something just because of the packaging. It's just not worth it, and they're taking your money and they're taking advantage of you just buying things because of the packaging, and I hate to see it. I hate seeing people spend money on packaging and then get bad product. So definitely try to keep that in mind next time somebody throws a pumpkin spice palette at you, and skip it. Alrighty, and I think that brings us to the end of the video. Boy oh boy, did I have a fun time talking about all the makeup that I'm not gonna buy, but I would love to hear from you guys. Did I anti-haul anything today that you've already purchased? I felt so bad in the last video I did. My friend Dakota texted me right after she watched the video and she was like, so I bought 3 things you anti-hauled in your anti-haul video, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. She ended up liking 2 out of the 3 things a lot, so that just goes to show you that makeup is super subjective, and some products will work for some people that don't work for other people. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what to do. You do whatever you want with your money. I'm just telling you what I'm not spending with my money. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you like this anti-consumerist avenue we've been going down lately. I thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I'm gonna be reviewing the Midas X Neon MUA collab as soon as it gets here, which is supposed to be Saturday. I'm so excited. I ordered a water activated palette from Fenty Beauty that I'm really excited to talk about. I got magnetic lashes back here that we're gonna be talking about soon. There's so much exciting content coming on my channel. You should really subscribe if you like exciting content. And please be sure to check out my description box for a ton of Black Lives Matter resources, including petitions to sign, places to donate, and ways to help protesters, and additionally, how to save the USPS. I thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you on my next video. Bye!